Hello everybody, welcome. We are going to be painting our two kitty cats today. We're going to be doing a gray version that you see behind me and the black version that you see behind me. So give me just 1 second while I get everything set up. I hope everybody's doing well today. Let's see, it is Monday, I believe it's June 22nd. And I don't know about y'all, but I feel like this year is flying by way too fast. I feel like every time I look up on my calendar, we're a couple of months further than we were before. And so the calendar seems to be escaping me this year. So I don't know about y'all, but the year's been flying by for me. And every time I check it, it freaks me out how far in we are. So, hey Mom, hey Joy, I'm so glad y'all are here. I hope y'all are doing good. I don't know about y'all, but I'm up in Conroe and it was nasty raining hard today. And the humidity level has been through the roof. I think we're at about 85-87% humidity right now in the shop. So it doesn't feel too great. Hey Lynn, excuse me, hey Lynn. I'm so glad you're here. Oh, Joy, you're excited about the cat. Me too. Let's see, my mom says it's a sign of old age. The older you get, the faster time goes by. I know, that's so true. It's so true. So, hey, Jan, hi. I'm so glad y'all are here. Hey, Carolyn, thank y'all for joining me. I've got, I had done this version of the cat last week, and I posted it letting you guys know that we'd be doing this one. But then I honestly felt like when it comes to our academy, I want to be able to bring you guys more. You guys joined in on this group with us because you wanted to dive a little deeper. So when I had posted about the gray cat, I had a couple of people ask me about a black cat. And I had expressed how difficult it is to paint black, anything that's solid black, because it becomes difficult for me to be able to shade that. So I really did a very light look on here that I'm going to show you guys, and really it's kind of what I did on the gray. I did the same thing on here, except I brushed it all the way through. So we're going to work on two different kind of ways that you could achieve a fur look, and I'll show you guys both ways, and that way you can decide what you want to use, and you could always mix in whatever colors that it is that you are wanting to make your cat. Hey Rachel, I just saw you hopped in. I'm so glad you got to join us tonight. So we are going to, I think we're gonna go ahead and get started on our gray cat first. I got flies everywhere in my shop, y'all. We're gonna get started on our gray cat first. Now, before I actually did this version, and I knew what I was going to do with the pattern, I had already base coated it gray. After I kind of figured out what I was going to do with the pattern, I realized I didn't have to actually base coat this. So one of them, the gray one, we already have one coat of gray. The one that we're going to do the black on, it's completely raw MDO. And so if you are wanting to do the same exact thing in gray, you could still start it from first coat on raw MDO. So, hey Joyce, hey there. Let's see, Rachel says she's going to watch as long as you can. You're hiding from the little ones right now, and it won't last. I hear you. My little one is 10. She's going to be 11 this year. And I still call her a little one because she's my little one, but I'm really realizing she's not a little one anymore. I don't have the same kind of issues I did when she was in the younger years. Now it's more of the attitude that you have, so... That's always fun when that comes around because I have to call my mom sometimes like, what do I do with this child? So yeah, I totally get it. All right, y'all, so we're gonna just hop on into it. We're gonna start with the gray cat. Like I said, you don't already have to have an existing coat on here. I had one on here because I went ahead and painted this prior to knowing what I was gonna do. So once I started playing with it, that's how I realized that I didn't even have to have a first coat because we're gonna work with this paint while it is still wet. Oh, Debbie, you're telling me it only gets worse. I am not ready, y'all. I'm not ready. I know we have a lot of different age women in here that maybe have young children, or you have children that are maybe Carly's age, 10, 11, or maybe you have teenagers, or maybe you have grown children. So I think we can all kind of understand the different stages we're in as moms, because Lordy be, y'all. It's hard. I think being a mom's the most difficult job, but it's also the most rewarding. So we are going to get started with gray. Gray number 24. You can use the same concept I'm teaching you with any colors that you want, but this is just kind of what we're going to do for gray. So I have a roller. For me, the look that I'm trying to achieve is going to work a lot better when I'm using the roller. And the reason I'm doing that, right now, all I'm doing is just getting one coat across the top. I don't want it too thick. I don't want it too thin. It's just going to be, you know, just a nice covering. Now, the reason I am using the roller is because whenever I do this with a paintbrush, first off, I'm going to have a lot more paint on here. And I find that the look that we are going for in the sample photo is better if you don't have too much paint. So all I've got so far is just one rolled coat of your gray number 24. Now, I reuse my roller. So you guys see, or y'all saw me take it out of here. I don't think I explained it. This is a freezer gallon Ziploc bag. I personally find you want to stay with the name brand on the bags and stay away from the off-brand ones because they're not as good. And you also want to make sure they're freezer. So if you're somebody who's doing a lot of projects and you're going to have rollers that you're going to keep and reuse, you want to make sure you're reusing a freezer bag. Now, the reason that we do this is because I can put this in here and I kind of grab onto it while it's inside of my bag, grab it on the outside. And then I can pull this handle right off of there and it allows my hands to still be pretty clean. So once I get it in here, I'm gonna push it down to the bottom and make sure that it's zipped up. I want it down at the bottom so that it can sit where all the rest of the paint is and it can keep it moist. And the whole purpose of doing this is when you know you're gonna come back and reuse these. Now, I paint for a living, so obviously I have bags that have every color under the sun of rollers. So that's why you see me using these. You might see Mary using those. That's because we do this a lot. So, all right. Now, you just have a simple coat on here. Nothing too thick, nothing too thin. Now, what I did, I'm going to show you guys everything I did. I used the Crafter's Choice. It's a royal brush, but it's a Crafter's Choice 1/2 inch, and it's a 1/2 inch mop. So I think I showed you guys in one of our other groups, or in the other group, in the Painters Club, that I had got this at Hobby Lobby. I think it had a 15 pack for like $13, something like that. So that's one of the brushes that I'm using today. Now, on here, I'm gonna need a shading gray. I already have some mixed up, but I wanna really show you guys from start to finish on everything. So your shading gray, all you're gonna do, take the same exact gray you already put down, and we're gonna mix in a little bit of black. So I just kind of got a little bit of gray. I'm gonna grab a spoon, and I'm gonna mix in some black. Don't be scared if there's a color that you don't have. You can mix them. You know, there's a million combinations that you could really create based on what colors you have, as long as you already have your primaries. You don't have gray, that's fine. You use white and black. You know, make your own gray. You can make your own shading gray. So shading gray, like I said, it's not one that we have already mixed and that we sell. It's one that we hand mix. So I'm trying to get a shade that's gonna have a contrast with this. So obviously I'm trying to make sure that it's dark enough that it's gonna be a two-tone gray, but not too dark that where it doesn't look gray. I think I want a little bit more black. Me personally, when I'm mixing a color and I'm not 100% sure what color I'm going for, I kind of keep setting it up next to the piece to really test what that might look like for me. And I just continuously do that until I find the color that I'm looking for. So now that I have that, I am going to go ahead and add water, and the only reason I'm gonna do that is because, like I told y'all, I already have a shading gray mixed, and the shading gray that I have mixed already has water in it. Because every time I use that shading gray, it's always as a shader. So for me, a lot of these shader colors that I have over here in my bottles, for instance, like I've got shading purple right here, it's already got water mixed in it, so that every time I pick it up, it's ready to go, and I don't have to be mixing water when I'm shading and outlining. So That's just me personally. Oh, I'm already dripping stuff. But that's the reason that I'll tell you guys, oh, that's already watered down, because it makes my life a little bit easier when I'm working out here on my projects. Lordy be, y'all, that's okay. I'm gonna mix it in anyways. I'm dripping everywhere. All right, so I just mixed in a little bit of water. Now we already have our wet gray. So I'm gonna start kind of at the bottom. Now, one thing I do wanna point out, because I didn't care for how I did this. So it didn't really have a definite face, right? These lines are missing off of this pattern. This line right here and this line right here, I drew in myself to kind of define the face. So if you could see right here, my swishes are kind of pointing downward, like the fur comes all downward straight off of the mouth. Well, I didn't think about that, and that really didn't look good. So if you're working on this pattern, you might want to take a little pencil and kind of etch in some lines to give a little bit of definition to the face so that your strokes can be moved according to that. Now, let me show you what that means. I did not do the good job of that on here, but I'm gonna do a better job of that on here while we do this together. So I'm gonna take this Crafter's Choice 1/2 inch mop and dip some in my brush. Now, this is wet. I wanted it to be wet because I want it to kind of blend in together. I want to feather into the existing paint that is already there. So I kind of just dipped my brush in on the tip. I didn't get too much in there. And I also came back over here on my table and I offloaded a bit. I don't want any thickness of paint coming off of here. I don't want it to be overpowering. I want it to almost blend in. So I'm going to kind of start at where those virtual lines are around the face. And then I'm going to kind of bring it down. And I'm barely touching, I mean barely swiping on here. And I'm just gonna bring it down and kind of create the illusion of the fur coming down in this direction. You see how that's looking so far? So you're just gonna start with a little bit. Now, the only reason I'm coming in for more is you can see these last couple of strokes I just did right here, they're getting lighter. That's because the paint underneath is wet. So I'm gonna get me a little bit more, offload it some, and come back in and continuously kind of create strokes that are going to feel and look like fur. Now me, I've always struggled with painting animals or realistic pieces. So I have to find kind of ways to get around that. You might be somebody that's similar to me and you struggle with realistic. I do better with cartoon, you know, but it's like I can shade this the same way I shade everything else, but is that gonna look like a cat? Well, no. So I kind of pushed myself to try something different and figure out whether that's gonna work, and that's kind of what this is. So this is the first time you guys have ever seen me teach like this, and then anybody who's been a customer of the store for any amount of time, you'll also know that this is the first time you've ever really seen this style of painting, because I've never done it before. So y'all let me know what you're thinking. I just wanted to be able to bring y'all something a little bit different. Now, as far as the base goes, that's about where I was at on my example, and I've seen that a lot of you guys like the example, so I'm gonna stick with my example. And then on the black cat, I will show you guys how to take this same thing I'm doing, but blend it out a little bit more so that it looks more realistic. Hi, Danae, I'm so glad you decided to join us, honey. Thank you for coming. So now, when it comes down to the feet, you can really make different strokes. I'm trying to keep it looking like the foot, and it's hard to kind of distinguish what strokes you're gonna make, but I thought about my own cat, and her fur kind of comes forward over her toes. And so I wanted my strokes to kind of look like that of what they would on a cat's foot, right? Because that's what we're trying to achieve. So dipping my brush a little bit, I'm gonna offload some and bring it back in. Now, it's kind of nice getting to actually work with all of this while it's wet, because your time frame of how long it takes you to do this project should be a lot shorter than some of your other projects. So I don't know about y'all, but that makes me happy. I like trying to be a little faster and finding ways that I can do things a little bit more efficiently. Hey, Victoria, thank you for coming in. I didn't see you come in, but I'm glad you're here. All right, y'all, so that's what I've done so far at the bottom. Now, like I said, if you don't care for this look, just wait, because when we do the black one, I'm going to show you how you can take this look a step further. Now, I'm going to switch back up to the face. So in thinking about an animal's face and how their fur kind of lies out, that's exactly what I'm attempting to achieve here. So I'm going to continue with the same thing, but I'm going to change the direction of my strokes to meet the way that an animal's hair naturally lies on their face. So right here, if I'm starting at the bottom, their hair is kind of going to feather out, you know, from their mouth, right? Now, whenever I'm coming up here to my whiskers, I kind of almost feather back down the opposite way. So this is the only part, the chin part, that I felt like it was, you had to do a little bit more, I don't know, finagling to get the desired look, to make sure that it looks like your fur is kind of blending into one another. Now I'm coming over here to my edges, and you see how my edges are kind of curled outward. So that's when I kind of change my stroke and bring my stroke outward. I want this to have the realist appearance that I can give it. So honestly, I just thought about my own cats and what they look like and how their hair and their fur grows. And so that's kind of where this came from. Not that there's any right or wrong. There's a million ways that you can do this. But I really loved the end result of this look. What are you guys thinking so far? So far, I feel like this is something that is, it's a faster thing to do, definitely, but it might take a little bit of practice. And you know, I'm using a 1/4 inch mop brush, but you could use a flat shader, you could use a round tip brush. It's kind of gonna depend on what you're most comfortable with. So if there's a brush that you're really comfortable with, I'm gonna give you or advise you to really just try that one and see if that one would work better for you. Now, I'm trying to think around the face. I kind of fanned it outwards, right? So I'm gonna kind of feather it based on creating a line of symmetry. So right here down the middle, I'm gonna kind of feather it out this way until I kind of meet everything else. Now, I don't know if y'all noticed, the reason I'm doing this before I'm base coating is I'm gonna be crossing over some of these lines. So it's easier to do that now before base coating, and then that way I don't get so frustrated with myself about, you know, coming in and screwing up some of that paint work that I already did, because, you know, I already knew that I was gonna do it. So I wanted to do it now before I get that base coating on. Now, when it comes to the face, you guys, I feel like it's a little bit, it was a little harder for me personally to try to find the right brush strokes or the right really direction of the strokes. So try whatever you feel like is gonna work best. This is just obviously the way I kind of went about doing it. But a lot of times, because I'm having to make this before we go live, so that way I kind of know what I'm doing, being the one that has to be the pioneer of finding colors or finding a technique, a lot of times after I think about it for some time, maybe a different idea comes to me, or you know, a better technique for how to do this. So, you know, if you have a better technique, I'd love to hear about it, because it is sometimes it gets nerve-wracking having to be the one to select all that. All right, y'all, so here's kind of what I have so far. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and get the white in here. I think this is the reason why a lot of you guys liked the gray cat. I had posted a side-by-side of the gray and the black, and I asked people what they liked, and most people liked the gray. And I think that's because you see like a trifecta of colors. You see a really good balance between your base tone, and then you have, you know, a darker tone and a lighter tone, and it's very appealing to the eye. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get the white in here right quick while I still have the wet paint, because being able to feather this in while the paint is wet is what's giving us that ability to achieve this look that we're going for. All right, so let's see. Joy, Victoria, Debbie, and Joyce, you are all liking it so far. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so now I'm going to grab a little bit of white. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of water to it. For me personally, I found that my paint glides a lot better and feathers a lot better if it is a little bit watered down. So if this is something that you're going to try, this technique is something you're going to try, I encourage you to try it without water and then try it with water and see what works best for you. I think it's also a preference of, you know, your brushes that you have and how they work, because we've talked about that every brush is different. And so what might be successful for you with one brush won't be successful for somebody else, and that's okay. So let's just see. I didn't add too much. I added a little bit, maybe, I don't know, 20% water. So I'm going to just dip the tip. Again, this is that half-inch Crafter's Choice mop brush that I found at Hobby Lobby. It was a pack of 15 for like 12 bucks, 13 bucks, something like that. So I'm offloading some white. I want the white to be really light and wispy. I know you got light and wispy right here, but you almost want less paint because that white can get really, really stark on you. Now, I'm kind of coming in here and gonna feather this in around what we already have. I'm sticking with the same kind of motions and strokes that I've already had and just pretty much accenting them a little bit more. You know, you're just kind of pulling in another color to bring a little bit of depth and dimension to what you're doing. So just how we do highlights at the end of everything, all of our pieces that we paint, this is kind of like the same thing, except it's like, so for me, this is one of those things is like, it might look really good on the table, and then when you kind of stand back, sometimes this can be one of those things like, oh man, I missed some spots. So I'm trying to kind of move it around and make sure that I can really get a good idea or good grasp of what this looks like and what it's going to look like when it dries. So I also was thinking, I think this look would be really good on a beard, on like Santa Claus or anything like that. But this look with the strokes brought all the way through that we're gonna do on the black one. So I'm excited, y'all, because every time I find something new, then it's like I want to go try it with some other projects that I've already do or other patterns that I do. All right, so I'm kind of just really, like I said, following along the same swish marks, the same direction of the gray ones I already had, and just trying to tie in some white. So there's the top. Now I'm going to flip it back down here and do the bottom. And then while these start drying, I'm going to pull the next one over and we'll work on the black one. Now I'm going to end up having to pull out that blow dryer here in a little bit, but that's okay. It's going to be kind of nice having two projects going, because that way it'll have a little bit more time for drying in between. Now you'll also see me offloading some over here on my table. You can do that on a paper plate and things like that. I think I like offloading on the table because my tables have a lot of paint on them, and so they have texture there. And that texture really pulls out more paint that I'm wanting, because I'm wanting it to really only have a little bit left on my tip, but I seem to have a heavy hand. So coming in with a little bit isn't natural for me. I kind of come in too hot and too much. So I like my table as something to take some of that away. Get just a touch more. I don't need much more. Kind of just feathering it in with that darker gray that I mixed. And I just want to add a little bit of contrast here. Okay. I think that's okay for now. So, hey Pam, I'm so glad you're here. I just want to do a quick recap. So, I started with one coat of gray, number 25. Is 25 or 20? Yeah, 24. Sorry, 24. And then while it was wet, I came in with a darker gray that I hand mixed with our gray and a little bit of black and some water. And I kind of did brush strokes that mimicked fur. And then I did that all the way across, and then I came in with a little bit of white so I can get the multi-tone going on. And so that's your first step on the gray cat. Now, you're doing any other color cat, you could still stick with the same exact thing, just change it out to match the colors that you're doing. So there's your step one. Obviously, now we're gonna need to get some color on our eyeballs and our ears, and we can do the finished work. But that's kind of where we started. I'm gonna set this aside and let it dry a little bit, and we're gonna start working on the black version of the cat. Black version of the cat is very, very similar to this. We're just going to we're gonna take our strokes kind of all the way through. Instead of being short, wispy, they kind of become long, wispy strokes. So, let me move this one. Whoa! I'm already about to make a mess over here, y'all. I didn't drop it upside down, so that's good. All right, so here we go. Plain cat. And we are going to just do a base coat of black. Now, I could not find a big black roller that I already had that was wet, so I'm just using what I already have, and I only have the small version. Typically, I use the large version, but since this is what I had in a bag earlier, and I didn't want to bring anything out at the moment, I just use this. So this one's just a short, I think a 3-4 inch roller. And I'm gonna just get one coat of black on here. Now, the nice thing about working with black is that it will cover really good and very thick. So I didn't have to worry about this coat maybe not being thick enough and showing too much underneath, because it just doesn't give me that problem. So I'm gonna start with kind of getting some squirted on here. And I'm gonna load this roller. And I know those of you that watched Mary's video over, what was it, the flamingos, that she had showed you guys, she had put together a bunch of them on a little Lazy Susan, and she had showed you guys how to prime multiple pieces at a time. So if you're somebody who does batch work, or maybe you're working on multiples of the same items, stack these on top of each other and roll the sides all at the same time, and you will save yourself, I mean, honestly, depending on how many projects you do, over time, you'll save yourself hours by doing it like that. So I'm just doing this personally. I'm doing it with the roller because paintbrushes, it's a lot easier for me to have too much, and it's a lot easier for me to have clumps on there. And the roller really prevents the clumps and prevents me from having maybe a big chunk down here and not enough up top, something like that. So I just like the consistency that I get from a roller, and that's why you see me using that as opposed to a brush. A brush will still work just fine. I'm gonna say just try to make sure you don't have too much on there. I got a booger in here and it's not wanting to come out. Hold on, y'all. It's the bad thing about squirt bottles. They get all gummed up. Hey, Danae. Okay, so Danae says, you did this today from priming and it worked great. Awesome. I'm so glad. Yeah, we're trying to make y'all's lives easier. Y'all think about it. We do this for a living. And if we did it single, you know, one at a time, we would not be able to produce any amount that we would, you know, be able to keep up with demand. So rollers obviously can really speed up the amount of time that you take on this. Now, if you're somebody who says, no, I want to take as much time as possible so I can have a break, hey, I get it. Use a brush. It's totally fine. You know, but this is kind of how we do it. All right, so I got a coat of black. And let me put my roller back in my bag. Now, this is a smaller roller, so it's like a, I think a quart freezer Ziploc bag. So I just kind of put it back in there. Now, if you are somebody that uses rollers, take a lesson from me. Take this, your little handle, and wipe off that excess paint. Wipe it off. You could wipe it off in a rag, you could wipe it off in a paper towel, don't matter, but wipe it off. Because eventually this gets so gummed up with paint that you go try to put a new roller on here and that roller will not spin at all because the metal is gummed up. Now mine needs to get clean. It has several layers of it, but I've gotten a lot better in the last few months about just wiping it, you know, off of my clothes. I mean, it already matches everything else, right? Might as well. All right. So yes, keeping up with demand and paying bills. Ain't that the truth? Anybody who does any kind of crafting for a living, yes, you definitely, it's a fine line between being able to keep up with demand, pay bills, you know, that sort of thing, make money, and then not give away your farm. You can't be giving it all away. All right, y'all, so we're gonna say same thing again. It's wet. Now, that same gray that I used on the gray cat is what I'm gonna use on here. Now, before I get started, this is gonna be a little bit different of a look as far as this one is subtle. This one's not meant to be really bright in your face, be able to see the contrast. Because it's a black cat, it's difficult to paint things that are solid black because when it comes to shading, what can you really shade with? You know, you can't shade much on black. And so what I did was I just took my dark gray, which you could even do the same thing with white. But I found that it worked a little bit better. The look I was trying to achieve, which was subtle, worked better with the dark gray. So I'm gonna do the same exact thing that I just did, and only I'm gonna take it a step further this time. So I'm gonna pull back that shading gray that you and I made. That lighting is, whew, hold on, let me see if I can turn that down. It is looking a little bit crazy. A little better, okay. I might have to turn it back up here in a minute. I don't know if it's the black that's just making the lighting look a little off. So I'm gonna take that dark gray that I made, I mixed this with just gray 25 and your black 37. Same thing, I'm gonna dip my tip in here. I'm gonna offload a little bit of this because like I said, I don't want this to be too, I don't want it to be too gray. I want it to still look black. So I'm thinking the same thing, kind of you're making sure that you're following your face lines and kind of starting underneath there and creating the sense of fur. Now, this one might be a lot harder for you guys to see because the contrast is not as stark and bold as the contrast with the light gray and dark gray and white. Give me just 1 second. I'm literally doing the same exact strokes, and let me show y'all. Same exact strokes. That black is difficult to see, that I did before. So that's where my start is. I'm still doing the same start as the gray cat. So let me finish up getting some of these strokes on here, and then we'll do the pull through. I'm not sure what else to call it, because it's kind of what you're doing. You're really just gonna pull those colors all the way through. Now, my example I felt like was super light and maybe could have used a little bit more. So I'm gonna try to get a little bit more gray in here, but I don't wanna go overboard. So, all right, so that's kind of where we're gonna start as far as the beginning strokes. All right, now, only difference, the only thing I'm gonna do differently, and I am making a big old mess, on the gray cat, we would have left it like this. On the black cat, I'm actually gonna take it and bring my brush down and barely touch across the top and allow that brush to kind of pull those colors all the way down and kind of feather them out. Now, I'm trying to stick with the same strokes that I felt like a cat's fur would naturally have. But other than that, that's all I'm trying to do. Now, on any other color cat, I would try to have more of a contrast, but since it's black, I didn't want the cat to look like another color that's not black. So that is a very, very subtle look. It looks almost more gray in the camera based on what I can see, but I'll show you guys a picture of this after it dries. It's really not gray. It really is black with just a touch of gray. It's just the lighting and the wet paint at the moment. So let's see. I want to make sure I'm keeping up. So Mary says, starting with the dark color like black means that you work using lighter colors for shading and highlighting. Yes, exactly. See, Mary does a much better job of explaining this. So she calls this a reverse process that we normally do. And that is what it is. You know, when you're thinking about paints, if I'm having a lighter color I'm working with, I'm gonna then choose a shade darker than that to give me a contrast. But But when you're already at the darkest shade of color that you could possibly get, you kind of got to do the reverse and get something lighter than that, so that you can achieve the same kind of contrast look on pieces. So I'm literally doing the same thing over and over and over between both of these cats. Now the gray look, if you're somebody who maybe you want to do the brush strokes all the way through and not have it looking so kind of spotty, then you can still do the same thing on the gray, except pull your strokes all the way through instead of leaving them short. Now, everybody, y'all can always be the judge of what you think is going to work better. But I wanted to be able to give you guys a different idea on something that you could do. This is kind of that look I'm saying that I think would look good on a beard. Is kind of coming in and doing some light wispy strokes and then fanning it back through and pulling it out all the way down, like we did at the bottom of the black cat. I think it would look really good in hair. So, yeah, Debbie's saying the black does not do well on camera with anything. I know. I think I turned my lighting down and hoping that would be better, but you know, it is kind of what it is. All right, so I am also making sure when I'm doing this, if I have too much of my base color, my dark color, whether that's a light gray cat, a black cat, it doesn't matter. But if I've got too much of my dark or my base color in my brush, make sure that you offload some of that, because you don't want to not be able to see that contrast, you know. So I'm sure y'all can tell from my table that I've kind of offloaded all over the place over here in attempts to, you know, get that color that I'm really seeking. Now, the thing I really liked about this look is that even if you don't like something, it's so simple to change it. Okay, so you did it while it was wet. The very first base coat, you already got your shading in there. Oh, and you didn't like it. Okay, no big deal. Put another coat on there and do it again. And that's the easy thing about this, because you guys are already used to doing 2 base coats. So, you know, you don't even have to do 2 base coats on this. And if you don't like the first version, fine. Pretend like you're just doing your second base coat and go at it again. It's you know, paint is super easy to be able to change and come up with something different, because it just allows you to. We can always come back over top of it and fix it to look the way we want it to look. And that's the nice thing about paint. Oh yeah, Mom says she's not the one painting, so it's definitely easier for her. I hear you. Honestly, I've missed you guys. I think I was live, I guess it was Thursday maybe. I'm not good with days. But it was the first time that I had been live in like weeks. And so it was almost kind of like, okay, I miss some of those responsibilities. I'm just getting to see you guys. All right, y'all. So top, I got all the gray down. Now I'm gonna offload some of this because I don't want any more gray in my brush. I'm just kind of taking it off on my table, and I'm gonna follow through with those same brush strokes. If you do this and then you say, ooh, you know what, that might have a little bit too much gray for me, totally fine. You could always come back over this when it's done and add a little bit of black in and kind of feather over top of any of the gray that you might feel like needs to be toned down. So this pattern can really be fixed in a million different ways if the look that you're going for isn't achieved, you know, the first time. Yeah, I definitely think I could probably take a little black over this in a couple of spots. But that, oh man, that lighting. That's kind of the look that we have so far for the black fur. Now, I'm not gonna take white into here like I did with the gray version, because First off, I don't want to make it where it's not black. That, you know, I think I've told you guys that. But the gray that I just used has a lot of white in it, or had a lot of white in it. And those strokes kind of almost give you a multi-dimension of colors. So me personally, I liked it leaving my black version just like this. So now we actually need to blow dry these so we can base coat the eyes and the ears. Because y'all know me, I'm going to base coat all these at the same time. So let's see. Joyce says, I see what you're doing. So that is good. Now to do it. It'll take you a lot of practice. Honestly, I think the best thing to do, Joyce, is grab your brush that you know you want to use. And you can grab a piece of cardboard. You could flip these on the back. Any kind of surface that you can paint on. If you have a table that's dedicated for painting, use your table. And I want you to practice with whatever brush you're going to use. Practice dipping your paintbrush in your paint, and practice doing those strokes on your table. Look, I just washed this, but that's okay. I'm going to show you guys. So practice putting a little bit in, offload, and then kind of practice doing your strokes. You know, I don't know if y'all have noticed, but I'm kind of doing it from an angle on the side. And once I come down, I almost barely touch down, and I lift it right back up. I want it to be wispy. So the best course of action for that on a new technique that you're not sure how to do, practice on something that's not your painted project. You know, practice on the table, practice on a piece of cardboard, practice on the back, practice on anything. But if you practice that brush stroke before you attempt it, you'll have a better sense of direction of where you're trying to go and how you're going to get there. And that'll be more helpful and beneficial for you. So let me get some, I don't even have lids over here. I was about to say, let me get lids on these. Just kidding. I didn't bring them to my table. But let me grab my blow dryer. I'm gonna have to blow dry these just a little bit. My gray one's pretty much almost dry, as far as the eyes, the nose, and the little patch on its chest. So I think this black one's gonna be, yeah, the gray one's okay. Just the black one, I gotta get a little bit of this dry. But let me know, do you guys think that this is something that you can do? Do you think this is something that is easily achievable for you? I've been trying to work on techniques for you guys that I felt like you could easily understand and easily try to recreate yourself. But I also understand that when you watch a tutorial, the way that somebody else does it, they might make it look easy, and it's not the same when you're doing it your own. So I'd like to know what you guys are thinking about it. Okay, now that's good enough for me for this moment. Now I have a couple of different options. Lynn, you're not sure? Debbie, no. Oh, I wish it was a little bit easier, y'all. But I have a couple of different options now when it comes to doing my eyes and my ears. I'm trying to think. Earlier when I did my eyes and I base coated them, I did the entire thing from this side to this side in white. But since we're live and it's humid and drying time in my shop right now is a little more extended, I think I'm gonna just use a script liner to do it. And honestly, or normally if I wasn't on a live and I'm not having to worry about time, I would just do the entire eyeballs all white and then come in with my script liner to do the black. So that's the only reason you're gonna see me do the opposite, is I'm just trying to be a little bit quicker. So yeah, and Joyce is saying with practice, it'll eventually, yes, definitely practice is gonna make perfect. It's one of those things, you don't ever get good at something without doing it over and over and over. So let's see, Carolyn says that she has the black cow for someone. You hope this technique will work. I think it will, totally. Honestly, I wish I had kind of played with this a long time ago, because you know how many things I could have used this on? A million. All right, y'all, so this is that Royal No. 4 script liner. Mine's old and nasty, but this is one of your newer versions. I know we did have these at the store, and several of y'all got these. So y'all could see I got lots of paint on me already. I don't know what it is that every time I work with black, I always get black everywhere. So I'm adding a little bit more water into my white. Whenever I'm working with that script liner, I found to get any of my paint to glide, it just needs more water. That's just me personally. I think everybody's gonna be a little bit different based on your brush. But if you're having trouble getting you know, your brush to glide and it's maybe running out of paint really quickly on each stroke, then try adding a little bit of water. All right, so now I'm gonna come in here and just try to fill in my eyes as best I can without coming over the line. Sometimes that's easier said than done, but we'll see. I'll probably end up having to do touch-ups, but that's okay. At this moment, whenever I'm doing my base coating, now granted I'm using a script liner right now, and typically I use a mop brush, but whenever I'm doing this, I'm always trying to stay inside of those etched lines. So I actually take my brush, if I'm using a script liner, I actually take my brush and get the tip of it inside of the corner of the lines. Can you guys see that? And so I'm using those lines to kind of give me a bumper of where I'm staying in between. Kind of like I'm going bowling and I got to stay in between my lane. So these lines are like my bumper for my brush. I keep my brush in between those, and once I kind of find that groove and my brush, the stroke kind of follows along that groove, it becomes a lot easier to stay inside of the groove and kind of finish it out. Now, I think everybody's different on that. Some things might be easier for others, but for me, that's what you guys are seeing me do. Now, whenever we do our gray cat, because its eyes don't have any black in them, I probably will have to actually paint the whole thing and then come back. So now I'm gonna go ahead and fill in my little circles. This circle is really the same intent of being a dot and an eyeball. These flies are driving me nuts. It's the same intent as being a dot in the eyeball, but since these eyeballs are really big, you got a nice big circle. So I'm kind of using those etched lines as a bumper to make sure I'm staying inside. Alrighty. So now this is really considered my my base coating, but like I said, since this one's black, I already have a black underneath. I can go ahead and actually do my stroke, excuse me, for in between my lines. Now I'm going to actually take what's on my brush and kind of wipe off the excess. I don't want a lot, and then I always come back in and I just dip the tip just a little bit because I want to start with some, but I don't want it to end with too much. And I kind of bring that line up and just feather it in there a little bit. Black on black, you know, black cat, black eyes, that sort of thing. It's hard to be able to do a full straight line trying to follow that along because it just doesn't seem to work as well. So there's my white on this eyes. Honestly, I could keep going with the white, but I'm going to put it up for the sake of needing to do the base coat on the gray cat. I am going to get a little bit right here on its chest. I don't know about you guys, but I have a black cat and she has a little tiny patch of white right here on her chest. So this little patch ended up working really good. And she is a really sassy cat too. How many of you guys are cat owners, cat lovers? So I have a black cat named Kitty, and she is as sassy as she could be. And then we have an orange swirl tabby who is needy. He acts like a dog, like he requires a lot of attention. And he cracks everybody up because he's crazy. So Debbie, you're a cat mom, you get it? For sure, yeah. So, all right, let's see. I might have missed a few things. So, Mom, hey, y'all. The paint list on these kitties is going to be quite short. Yes, it is a very short paint list. It's really white, black, gray, and pink. That's it. Everything else you can make. Let's see. Rachel has 3 cats. Oh, and Danae, I know you've got kitties. Oh, you missed your black kitty. I know. I think you lost that one not too long ago. Joyce, you're a dog mom. Y'all, I have 3 dogs. and 2 cats. And Kimberly's got, you love kittens and you're trying to get rid of kittens. Lordy be, I have too many animals here. So I have 3 dogs, right? I have a corgi, a female corgi. Her name's Winnie, but we call her Toots because she acts like a toot. She's a little, you know what? So it's like toot or tootsie. And she's crazy, just as crazy as she could be. And then we have a Dachshund Labrador mix, which if you've not seen, they are quite cute. So he's like 30 pounds, but his legs are about this short, and he's really long. And he's crazy. And then we have like a Dutch German Shepherd Mastiff mix. And he hates people and hates children and doesn't like anybody. And so the 3 of them together with my 2 crazy cats, we just have quite the brood here at our house. So stinking flies. I love hearing that everybody else is also dog and cat moms too. I love all of my babies. They all drive me nuts, but I do love them. All right, let me see. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and try to stay along the lines with the white over here. I really could have grabbed a mop brush, but I didn't want to pull out another brush. I'm all about trying to keep it as simple and easy. And I think this is really just gonna be the simplest and easiest. So since I was using my script liner on the black one, I'm just sticking with it. Fill these eyes in a little bit. I'm gonna get a little bit of pink on here, and then I'm gonna have to blow dry them one more time so that we can then do the outline of them. Okay. You have a dude in cross-eyed parts. Siamese cat. Oh, Lynn. I love Siamese kitties. I didn't know I was a cat lover until a couple of years ago. In fact, I thought I hated cats. And so I've never really had that desire until I kind of realized that I actually like cats. And so now that I have them, I'm like, okay, the 2 that I have are more than enough for me. Hi, Renee. I'm so glad you're joining us. So now I'm gonna just take, these flies are driving me nuts. I'm gonna take my pink. This is just your light pink. Oh, what's my number on here? Light pink number 25. And I'm just gonna get a little bit inside of my ears and on my nose. Now, you can always add shading to this if you wanted to. I personally didn't on the pink, that is. I did not add any shading to it because I wanted it to look a little bit more realistic as opposed to cartoony, even though it's really still cartoony. But I just like the simplicity of just the light pink with a little bit of black and a little bit of white. That personally kind of created the look I was going after. So here's the nice part too. So that's all my base coating on my gray. But the nice part about doing 2 of these is at the same time, is really you kill 2 birds with 1 stone with the same brush. So anytime that you're trying to do batch work, or maybe you're somebody who's trying to do this for a business and you're trying to move faster and be able to produce more so that you can bring in a better income for you, that's always something to try to consider is batch working things together and minimizing the amount of brush changes that you have to do. So we're gonna do the same exact thing right here on the black, just that we did on the gray, just kind of base coating this in a little bit. And then I'm gonna have to blow dry it. Because I did not, since we did all the strokes on this while it was wet, I did not already have a sample other than the finished sample. I didn't have one that was already base coated that I could have grabbed, while we did the finish work. So blow dryer, since I didn't have a backup. Okay. So base coating on here, done. Super easy on that part. Now let me grab that blow dryer and get this blow dried a little bit. And then we can do our finishing touches. Let me see if I can get caught up to you on any questions that you guys might have. Oh, that's awesome. Tiffany said she's looking for a kitten, Kim. That's great. The light is bright on the gray kitty. I know. My Let me see if I can move it here in just a minute, and maybe that could help us. Mom, the 25 shading pink is on the black cat. Maybe you submitted that comment before I got to the black one. But yeah, I used the same light pink on the black and the gray. No matter what color, if I would have painted these cats and I would have done any kind of color, I still would have used that same pink. Now this isn't going to be a dry, but that's okay. As long as I kind of have a little bit of dryness along those edges, I can come in with a strip liner and hit the outline of it. And then my shading colors, I'm not so much worried about that. Or my wisps, I'm sorry, not shading. Whenever I'm using my strip liner to do black and white wisps, I'm not so worried about if the undercoat is still really wet. Lynn said she would like to do a calico kitty, but how? That is a great question. Honestly, I feel like it's going to be one of those things that you have to figure out what color scheme you're wanting to use and stick with it in that motion. It might be easier when to draw on here maybe circles or little patches that your calico cat might have, and that way it kind of gives you a sense of direction on where to go with it. Oh, thank you, Mom, making a paint list for me. I thought I had a paint list on the gray cat. I don't know, the one I have over here doesn't have one, but I thought the ones at the store had one. I don't know, I could be wrong. Between all the things on my to-do list, it's really easy for me to say, oh yeah, I did that, but it's because I did it on 20 other things and maybe not this one. Who knows? That's something I'll have to check. Maybe give this one like another minute. Lynn, I'd like to see maybe a photo of the cat. And it might be easier for me to give you better advice. Because it's hard to envision sometimes how to do something without looking at a photograph of what look we're trying to achieve. Honestly, too, that question might be really great for Victoria because she has obviously a vast knowledge of painting and blending and things like that. And she's a great resource that we have, and we're so glad to have her. So that might also be a question I might have to ask Miss Victoria if she can help us on that. Oh, there you go. Going to YouTube and looking up how to paint a calico cat. That might be easier. All right, y'all, let me see. I am going to go ahead and grab my black. And this is just your black 37. Mine already has a little bit of water mixed in. I'm still using the script liner. So really, I only used my script liner and your 1/2" Crafter's Choice mop brush and a roller. That's the only brushes I used on this entire piece. So you don't have to have a big repertoire of brush choices. Yeah, is the lighting still kind of weird? I turned it down. I don't know. My iPad froze up on you guys a long time ago, so I haven't been able to. Oh, yeah, that is kind of weird. Hold on. Let me see. Give me a second. What about that? Does that look any better? I can't tell. Hold on. Hold on. Let me tilt the light in a different direction. Give me a second. Oh, Lordy B. I feel like I'm just making it worse. There we go. Is that better? Hopefully, a little bit. think if I just leave it down, no, oh, that is so weird. Maybe I'll just turn my light off. How about that? Turn it off. It'll be a little bit darker, but at least you get a more realistic look. Okay, so now I just got the black, number 37. And I'm just gonna really start with filling in my eyes right here. Like I said, normally I would already have white all the way across here from my, my base coating, but kind of doing this a little bit differently. So I'm just kind of taking the tip of my brush and laying it in where those grooves already are, and just pulling that brush down through that crack. Your script liner for me was a brush that was very difficult to get used to. And so the only thing that you can do is practice with it. So if you're somebody who, you know, feels like, man, I can't get the grasp of this, I get you. I understand. We understand. We've all been there, you know, trying to get a handle on how to use paintbrushes or the best way of breaking them in. So be patient with yourself. It'll take a little bit of time, but the more that you use it, the more you practice, the better you're gonna get. So I'm just kind of following along with these etched lines. I'm not wanting these to be very thick, so I'm trying to keep them really wispy, and I'm also trying to keep them symmetrical. So if I end up doing a really thick line on one side, I'm gonna do the thickness of that on the other side as well. And that's all I'm really doing at this point. I'm following over top of those lines. So really what this looks like is my script liner is kind of covering both sides of the line. So it's almost, my script liner is coming down the middle, but I'm not necessarily on one side of the line. My black is really on both sides of the line. And that's the nice thing about these carved lines is, or these etched lines, excuse me, is you can use them however you want to use them. Maybe you prefer to stay on the inside of it, or maybe you prefer to stay on the outside of it, and that's totally fine. Me, I kind of stick right down the middle so that there is some paint on both sides of the etched lines. Now, if you guys are having questions along the way, please, please, please let me know. I want to make sure that I am answering everything to the best of my abilities. So, oh lordy be. I turned off, there we go. I turned off the comments up here earlier to check the lighting, and then I totally forgot to turn it back on. Your gray cat looks gray. Your light. Tilt my light. Okay. Just making sure I didn't have any more comments come in. All right, now, as far as the inside part of the face, the eyes, the nose, that sort of thing, I'm just following along with these lines. Now, when I switch and I start doing the perimeter, I'm gonna switch to the more wispy, touch and go kind of lines. But at this point, what I'm doing here that's in the middle of the cat, I am connecting all of these. This is more of your traditional sticking around the perimeter kind of stroke. Now, y'all, while I'm painting and I'm just really chit-chatting because I can't watch comments, we do have our first Zoom meeting tomorrow at 7 p.m. So I had posted a link in Yard Art Academy, I want to say maybe this weekend. And all you have to do is follow that link, and we have our member ID, and then the password is Academy with a capital A. And we'll be in there tomorrow at 7 p.m. And really, this is, there's no set thing on our schedule. We're not necessarily painting anything specific. This is more of a time where we can interact face to face. And you guys can, you know, talk with us and ask questions, show us what projects you're working on. Maybe you're working on a project and you're really struggling with a color choice or a brush stroke, or trying to create something different than what, you know, you're able to create on your own. And that's the time where you can bring it to the Zoom party, and you can bring it to the group, and we all can help you. help bring input or, you know, show you a different technique. And so, like I said, we won't be specifically painting anything, but I'm gonna try to have some items close by me so that if you guys are asking a specific question and I want to be able to show it to you, I can. So, you know, no certain thing on the schedule. It's really something for all of us to get to know each other a little bit better and to just really get to have a communication and that kind of a relationship with one another where, you know, it's not just Mary and I talking all the time. You guys can get to talk too. And so we are so excited to get to interact with y'all. Y'all have no idea. I'm so excited. So I hope y'all will join us tomorrow night at 7 p.m. If you did not see the Zoom party link, it is on the same page that you're watching this video. So go check that out and join us tomorrow night. All right, y'all. So as far as the middle, I followed along all the lines that are there. Now, when it comes to the outside, I'm going to do the real light, wispy kind of stroke. So I kind of offload the paint that might be around the brush, and then I'm only dipping the tip to make sure that my tip has enough paint to kind of pull me through. So since I have these pieces right here that are kind of feathered outward, I want to follow along with that stroke and make my paint also have the feathered kind of look. So for me, I'm kind of bringing it over. It's almost like a sideways V. I'm bringing it over to the tip. And I do this in 2 strokes. I find that if I do it in one, my ends become rounded and not pointed. So I'm doing 2 strokes. So I do my first, and then when I'm coming back out, I kind of just feather that out and down. You can do it in a million different ways. I just find that this is easier for me. And I'm also barely bringing my brush down. I don't want very much paint on here. I want it to look very light and wispy. I don't want it to look like it's a perimeter kind of stroke, you know. So that's kind of what I did myself to achieve that. See, now I'm seeing if you start to bring your brush down and you don't have any paint on there, obviously go and try to load up a little bit more and do it again. So see those light kind of wispy marks? Allow those to bring your face together on that as opposed to, you know, the real thick perimeter type style lines. So now I am gonna kind of come in with just a couple really light wisps. There's, you know, no right or wrong for this on where you're gonna go. I just kind of am thinking about it like whenever I stand back and I look at a piece, you know, sometimes I feel like there's something missing, and for me a lot of times that's the little wispy mark. So kind of just come in a little bit like so. And as far as my outline goes on my face, I'm done. I'm good with that. I love that. So now I'm just going to finish out the same exact thing with the rest of this. This little middle piece, I am going to follow perimeter on that. But everything else will be light wispy. Y'all, I got an email from my daughter's middle school. She's going to middle school next year, which is crazy. But she had to sign up for band, choir, or art. And so she decided to sign up for band, and they have orchestra. So she says that she's doing the violin. So we signed her up for the violin. So I'm kind of curious to see how well this goes. I might have to come outside just to dodge the noise of all of the practicing that's going to be going on very soon in my house. But it's just crazy. I feel like I was telling y'all earlier when we first got on, I feel like this year's flown by. But I don't know, it's just really crazy that we're already talking about going back to school and having to pick out, you know, what their electives are for next year. I'm not ready for this, y'all. I am not ready. So the same thing with the black wisps that I did at the top. I kind of brought in a couple little randoms here and there. And then now on my feet, I don't care for the perimeter you know, type of outline on the feet either. I'm just trying to, again, keep it light and wispy. The only thing I am doing is making sure that my little toe lines are touching the light wispy line I'm putting underneath it. I just want those to match up. But other than that, I'm just letting my brush kind of take me. I find that I like the outcome a little bit better if I simply put my brush down and try to create the stroke look I'm going for. But really, I have to let that brush move where it's gonna move, and I just kind of follow it. And for me, that's a little bit more helpful, you know, trying to achieve the look that I'm wanting to achieve. All right, now as far as the black goes on here, I'm done. The only thing I gotta do is add a little bit of white to the eyes and a couple of little white swish marks. So I'm gonna switch back over to the black cat right quick, and we'll do the black on here, and then we'll do our white, and then we will be all done. All right, so Kimberly, you're saying you paint down the middle of the lines. I think that's the easiest thing to do, honestly. And Mary's saying, definitely ask questions, or you can drink some wine and talk about how crazy your life is. Oh, honey, I feel like so many, you know, honestly, I feel like social media always, you know, you see everybody's highlight reel. So it's easy to be like, man, how are none of these other moms losing their cool? Because I feel like I'm always losing my cool. No, I think everybody's losing their cool. And we just don't necessarily show each other all that. Because that's dirty laundry. Who wants to air out dirty laundry? Nobody. You know, but I feel like honestly there's a lot more of us that are on the mom struggle bus more than we want to admit. Which this girl right here, I feel like I could be the bus driver for the mom struggle bus. But yeah, I think that's why my mom and I, we've really been enjoying this group so much. It's just, it's a nice little community of women that we have. We can just hang out and come together. And, you know, just a non-judgmental environment. We all enjoy the same kind of hobby and, you know, just connecting with one another, building our own little community. It's been awesome to see so far. I've enjoyed it. I hope you guys have too. All right, y'all. So now I'm just taking that black and doing the same exact thing I did on that gray cat. Following the lines. Kind of just touching up what I've already done, you know. As far as the eyes go, I'm gonna leave, no, actually I take that back. Thought I was gonna leave them and not put any black outline, but earlier I did black outline, and then while that was wet, I came in with the white, and I like the look of it. So after I finish this ear, I am gonna go ahead and outline the perimeter of these eyes. So that way when I come in with this white, we're gonna have a good contrast that kind of breaks up the eyeballs from the face. Anytime you're doing, you know, something like this that's all black, you've got to be able to find ways to kind of break your colors up and create contrast when maybe your colors don't necessarily lend themselves like that. i.e. painting with black. So the inside ears look white. Okay, y'all, the inside of my ears are pink. I think it's the lighting. I turned they do look white. I turned my ring light off. Trying to see if that's better. They still do kind of look white. Yeah, the inside of the ears are pink. Sorry, y'all, it's me. It's my lighting. The inside of my ears are pink, and the eyeballs and the little part of the chest are white. So nose and ears are pink, eyeballs and chest are white. I think it's the lighting. I'm not sure what's going on with that. But I'll get you a photo posted after we finish this so that you guys could see the correct color tones. I think it's, I don't know, I've never had an issue with the lighting before, so, and I never moved it from where it's at, and I didn't change any settings on it, so I don't know. I'll have to mess with that later. All right, the black on my black cat is done. That does really look white. That's annoying. I don't even know what to do on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and just wash out my script liner right quick. Yeah, the black does throw everything off, and the nose is pink, so I think it's probably that, you know, light's trying to light up something that's too dark. And there's a struggle over there. Give me 1 second. I just dropped my brush in the water. My water's deep. Okay. Now, all I got left to do is white on both of these, and that's it. So we don't have much more to go. So same script liner that I'm using this almost this whole time. Same white that I just used earlier. And on here, like I said, because I'm doing something solid black and I'm trying to break up the color between, you know, the white on the eyeballs and its body, I just took my script liner and I loaded it with white, and then I scraped it all off. And I'm just gonna get a little bit on the tip. I don't want much paint here. And then I'm just really following along in those already wet black lines. I don't know if y'all could see that too easily. But I'm following along on what it's already there that's already wet. And this is just my attempt at kind of breaking up the colors between each other. If I did straight white, then it almost blends out too much and it becomes, I don't know, like lost in the background is the only way I know how to explain it. So I didn't want to do that. So that's kind of the only part that I'm really going to come back over wet paint. Other than that, now I'm just going to follow along with my lines with a little bit of white and do the same exact thing I did on my gray cat, kind of bringing this face together, except I'm using white. Now, I guess you could use a gray if you wanted to attempt that, doing this. I've never tried it, so I'm not sure how that would look, but you know, that could be an option. I personally like white, but you know. I'm all for somebody trying something different. Now I'm just trying to really keep this light, but my CNC carves a little on the deeper side. Every time I try to come a little bit lighter, then it only curves about half the piece. So my CNC has to kind of carve on a little bit of a deeper side. And so if you see me coming back over the lines a couple of times, that's because of my CNC. Typically, I want to be able to make a stroke and move on, but that's not always possible. So I'm doing the same exact thing I kind of did with the gray. It's really the same brush strokes, the same kind of movements. You're just doing it with white. And see, that white looks like really white on the outline. At this point, whenever I'm coming over here and I'm kind of making these lines for my, it's almost like my highlight outline, right? So I'm using this to look like an outline, but the way I'm treating my brush with how much paint I'm bringing into my brush, how hard I'm putting my brush down, and the stroke that I'm achieving or I'm going for, this stroke is more like a highlighting line. So I'm really using the way that I always highlight as an outliner when it comes to black and white. So I want you to, those of you who've been working on your highlighting, if you're doing this pattern, I almost want you to pretend that you're highlighting around the perimeter, and that's kind of how you'll get the light wispier lines. So now I'm just gonna kind of flip it down here and finish it out. Again, light wispy lines. Since it's a black cat, I really want it to stay black. And I don't want to take away from the shading that we did, because the shading is very subtle. So if I had really thick white on here, you really wouldn't see, your eyes wouldn't be drawn to the shading. Oh, you hear the frogs outside? Oh, y'all, we have all sorts of bugs out here. We have a ridiculous amount of spiders and different wasps and flies. We got these huge blue flies that are really, really weird. We have dragonflies that are like the size of my palm. I don't know, all sorts of weird looking bugs that I'd never seen before until we moved out here. And I've lived in Texas most of my life. I mean, we moved to Colorado for 2 years, but other than that, I've lived in Texas. And I swear half the bugs that we have out here in Conroe, I've never seen before. But we also kind of live out in the sticks. We're outside of city limits, so that might be part of it as well. I'm almost done. Now I am going to do just a couple of light swish lines. No real right or wrong as to where it is that you need to do them. Honestly, it's one of those things that once I start doing it, it's easy to just keep going and have a million of them by the time you're done. And that's okay. Now I am going to come in here though, and I like doing some squigglies on the ears and some straight ones. Really, you know, you could do a million different things. The more I sit here, the more I'm going to play with it, so I got to let it go at some point. But the black cat is done. I know the lighting's horrible and you can't really see it very well, but after we get done with the live, I'll take a photo of on the wall behind me, and then I think you'll be able to see these strokes a lot better. So that's your black version. And now on the white version, we just need to add a couple of little white strokes to it. All right, so Kimberly's asking, instead of doing the outlining in white, could you do gray and make it not so bright? You totally could. You know, if the white is too bright for you, you could also take a brush over top of it. Victoria showed us this in her birthday cake and candles live. She took like a flat brush. I don't have a good one right now. But got a little bit of her base color in here, so you get a little bit of black in here, and then almost get it completely out of your brush, and then come back over the white with a little bit of black in here, and it'll tone down that white. I'm sure there's a better way to explain that, but her video had a little part in there that she talked about that, and it was really, really great advice. Like, fantastic advice. I really love that. So I hope that you'll take a look at that. And Kimberly, let me also see if we can get maybe that part of the video edited down into like a couple of minute snippet that we can get out to you guys, because you know, it's like one of those little gems that you find sometimes, and she had a little gem in there for us, a great way of, you know, toning things down if you don't quite care for the look of it. All right, so same thing on here. I'm just now going to take a couple of white wisps, you know, really in my ears, and where the pink is, I want to make sure that I kind of have that. I don't want to do too much in the body because I already have, you know, white brought into here. So I didn't want to do too much. Now, this middle part is pretty wet, so, oh yeah, that's not going to work. I might just have to do the white on my eyeballs tomorrow. Yeah, I can't even do much with that. It is like sopping wet in the eyeball. Let me just do it for sake of y'all being able to see it, so the finished look kind of looks like the finished look. But I will have to touch up my eyeballs once this is dry. It's like I got a big old glob of paint right there that right where I need to paint. Yeah, definitely got to touch up my eyeballs, but that's okay. I'm going to just kind of flip it over and do a couple of light white swishes. And there we go. This bug is driving me nuts. Oh, I just almost got in my mouth. Stop it. There is my finished look. So there's your gray cat that we achieved with our, what is it, gray number 24. And then we kind of feathered in a darker gray that we mixed with our light gray and some black. And then we kind of feathered in a little bit of white. And that's how we got to the gray look. And obviously we added in some pink on the ears and outlined in black and white, outlined and shaded. And then on our black cat version, we did a black base coat. And then we brought in the same shading gray that we used on our gray cat, and we did the same similar strokes, but then we took our brush and we actually fully brushed those strokes all the way down and blended it in. The lighting is really terrible in here and you can't see it, I know. I'll post a picture of this as soon as we get off of here. And then I finished it up with our light pink in the ears and the nose, and some black and white for everything else, for your outline and your highlights. So what do you guys think? Do you think this is something that you could use yourself, or do you have an idea on maybe another pattern on something else that you might be able to use it on? I thought that this look would look really good on like Santa Claus or Mrs. Claus on hair or a beard. It could look really great on animals. Honestly, there's just a million different things that you could really use this technique for. But I really liked it. I thought it turned out cute, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Do we have any questions? I've been trying to make sure I'm keeping up and able to answer as we have gone, but if there's any questions, I'm happy to be able to get those answered for you. I'm going to get a photo as soon as we get off of here and post those in here so you guys can get a better close-up look of what it looks like. And then I hope you guys will join us tomorrow for our live Zoom meeting at 7 p.m. If you have stuff you're working on, bring it with you and show it to us, and let's see what we're doing, and really just have a discussion with one another. So Kimberly said the lines around the black cat's eyes. Did you miss that? Oh, yes I did. I didn't even see that, like the little eyelashes. I did miss that. Good look. Hold on, I can fix that in about 2 seconds. Let me see. I didn't even see that, but you know how easy that is to forget stuff when you're the one doing it. It's so easy to simply look past something. Ta-da! As I just dripped a big old glob of paint, a big old glob of water right here. And right here. Oh, lordy be, y'all. Now I'm making a mess. Okay, I think I got it. I'm realizing I dripped a lot more than I thought I did. There we go. All better. Yeah, I did make him look sad without it. Honestly, oh, and look, I just put the brush up and look what else I forgot. I forgot his eyebrows. Come on, Ashley. That is so me. It's like once I forget something, then I realize I'm forgetting a million different things. It's not just one. Better? I think that's better. Yeah, I was just forgetting a couple of lines there. My eyebrows and my eyelashes, but now we got them. Hey, Brittany, I'm so glad you joined us. I'm so sorry you missed us. I hope you can go back and rewatch this on replay. And then we will be live tomorrow at 7 on our Zoom meeting. I hope you'll join Mary and I. And we can't wait to see y'all. So if you missed our post, go back on the Academy page and you'll get the login ID and the password for our Zoom. And, we just are so excited to get to talk to y'all. So I hope y'all will come and see us tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed painting these two kitty cats today. Sorry my lighting was off. So we have our Zoom tomorrow, and then Thursday, Mary is doing her tutorial over the state of Texas and the Bluebonnet truck in Yard Art RS Painters Club. And then Sunday, Victoria is doing her tutorial over the frog. And then Monday is our, what is it called? Christmas in July sneak peek. Y'all, I can show y'all this too. Let me see if I can take y'all down. You'll see I already had Zach get my garland up here. Y'all can't see it. Y'all can't normally see it because my camera's down here, but we're already getting ready for Friday. So I still got my July 4th and I got Christmas up here in preparation for Monday. So I hope you guys can join us on all the other videos that we have coming out this week and on our Zoom tomorrow. Thank y'all so much for coming in tonight, and I will see y'all tomorrow on the Zoom. And if you're not able to make that, then I'll see y'all on Monday for our Christmas in July sneak peek. Thank y'all for joining me. I'll see you guys later. Bye.